We are wasting no time in Mendoza and headed to one of the top vineyards in Argentina.
Actually, it's one of the top 10 vineyards in the world.
Chicos, muy bienvenidos a Durigutti Family Winemakers. Mi nombre es Emiliano, soy encargado de turismo y hospitalidad aquí de la bodega. Estamos en las compuertas, Luján de Cuyo, y ahora vamos a recorrer nuestra hermosa Finca Victoria.
Surrounded by the breathtaking Andes, Emiliano showed us around explaining how the snow-capped mountains have been the source of water for irrigation of the vineyard for centuries. It was in 2002 that siblings Héctor and Pablo Durigutti founded Durigutti Family Winemakers after falling in love with this region. They named the vineyard Finca Victoria after their beloved mother.
One of the things I love so far about this vineyard is the fact that when they purchased and laid out the land, made this reservoir, it not only has been great for the grapes, it's been great for the local fauna as well. So the animals like birds, foxes, geese have been attracted to this area as like a refuge.
De fauna se apropió del lugar y directamente se hizo de su casa.
So now all this fauna forms part of the vineyard and the Durigutti family as well.
I never thought I would say this, but there was something oddly therapeutic about exploring this vineyard. We felt a beautiful energy from the vines, the trees and the mountains, the sound of the birds, the clean, crisp air, and the anticipation of the wine we knew we would soon taste. And they don't only make wine, they have over 300 olive trees and produce high-quality olive oil too.
Tienen un tronco muy grueso y tienen una copa pequeña. Esto se da así porque son olivos que están replantados, son olivos que los hemos traído aquí. Originalmente en Finca Victoria habían 2 olivos nada más. Y lo que hicieron los hermanos Durigutti, como les dije, los olivares que habían en la zona y muchas de las plantaciones que habían en la zona fueron levantadas para convertirse en countries. Los Durigutti trajeron estos olivos y los plantaron aquí. Hoy en día tenemos más de 300 olivos, casi 365 porque hay algunos que no engancharon, pero la idea de Héctor era tener un olivo por día del año, ¿sí? Con todos estos olivos que tenemos aquí elaboramos nuestro aceite de finca, un aceite de oliva extra virgen de las compuertas, que es un blend, mayormente tiene del varietal arauco de olivo.
We also got a sneak peek of a new project they're working on, growing grapes on new terrain.
Luego se vino a plantar el cerro. Lo que se quiso hacer acá es respetar absolutamente el cerro tal cual estaba, por eso que no se ha deforestado. Vemos toda la flora autóctona del lugar, simplemente se usa mucho para cocinar, sobre todo aquí en los clásicos asados. Lo que hace mucha gente es al fuego, cuando tenés directamente todas las brasas, cortas un poco de jarrilla y se lo pones al fuego. Y eso exactamente, ayuda a prender y le da mucho aroma a la carne.
Tiene un aroma distinto.
From the top of the hill, we got a panoramic view of the entire vineyard and of the 5 terrains that distinguish the crops that make up the wine, olive oil, and ingredients for the luxury restaurant on site.
Wow. You can smell the grapes fermenting.
This is the way that the first people used to make wine back in the days.
One of the earliest ways of making wine is stuffing these with the grapes, burying them underground, covering them with more clay, and waiting, 12 months? Approximately, digging it back up, and boom, you have wine. Now it's a little different, but I think it's really cool that Durigutti Family Winemakers continues to honor this very old tradition.
Yes, and we have 300 bottles of wine that we use only for the restaurant.
This is a special wine, exclusive wine you get to try only if you actually visit the restaurant. Very cool.
We're almost at the best part of the day. But before we can get to the wining and dining, there's a burning question we've been dying to ask. What is the story behind the famous Malbec grape?
So, gracias a mi papá yo he tomado vino desde una edad temprana también. Un vino muy particular que siempre me ha gustado y sinceramente es mi favorito, es el Malbec. Y el Malbec que yo he tomado es Álamos y siempre Álamos dice Mendoza. Entonces yo siempre he tenido la idea que el Malbec es argentino. Pero parece que no es argentino, ¿cierto? O sea, ¿de dónde es el vino Malbec?
No, de hecho la uva Malbec es originaria de Francia y es una uva que trajeron los inmigrantes aquí hace mucho tiempo por una razón bastante particular. Es de hecho una uva bastante barata y la trajeron aquí porque no se da tan bien en Francia, ¿sí? La cosa es que el Malbec aquí en Mendoza encontró un suelo propio y encontró su origen prácticamente. Y aquí se da mejor que en ningún otro lado del mundo y se convirtió en la uva insignia de Mendoza y de Argentina también, del vino argentino.
Es impresionante que eso suceda porque a lo que yo leí, creo que del 70 al 90% del Malbec del mundo es todo producido aquí en Mendoza. Entonces, a lo que podemos decir es de que el Malbec llegó aquí según una uva que no quiso Francia, pero aquí se perfeccionó y es lo mejor de Argentina.
Sí, de hecho sí, es lo mejor de Argentina y nos hemos apropiado de eso, sí.
Qué lindo.
Y por último, Emiliano, una duda. Vimos que Durigutti Family Winemakers llegó a ser reconocidos como de los mejores 10 bodegas del mundo. Es increíble. ¿Cómo crees que llegó así?
Bueno, la verdad que es un trabajo en conjunto porque por supuesto incluye nuestros vinos, incluye este paisaje hermoso en las compuertas, pero creo que la palabra clave es hospitalidad. Nosotros aquí nos enfocamos mucho en el cálido recibimiento a todos los turistas que pasan por aquí por Finca Victoria.
So one last question. I mean, we saw online that Durigutti Family Winemakers is recognized as one of the top 10 vineyards, wineries in the world. That's amazing. How do you think that came to be?
Well, not only our great wines, not only our great food, but I think the key is hospitality. We take care of every guest that we have here and we make sure that they have a very good time.
So it's more than just the quality of the wine, which is very important. Así que no es solamente la calidad del vino, lo que se produce, la experiencia, sino también la hospitalidad del turismo y lo que puede uno vivir si visita aquí.
Exactamente, lo que puede vivir, lo que puede beber, lo que puede comer y lo bien que la puede pasar aquí en Mendoza. They not only recognize our wines and our winery, of course, it's that full experience that they live when they come here.
That's amazing, and we're so lucky and so happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
No, please, thank you for coming. So I see that you must be very hungry and very thirsty, so it's wine o'clock, if you like.
Absolutely, 1 o'clock is my favorite time of day. Let's go.
Finally, the moment we've been waiting for.
Okay,
Por aquí adelante.
thank you. Buenas, hola. Wow.
Y ahora este sí es el bautismo del restaurante Cinco Suelos. Hay que pasar por acá.
Okay. Ooh.
Aquí tenemos nuestro tinto del pueblo. El tinto del pueblo es un vino que elaboramos con uvas de todo el pueblo de las compuertas. Como ya hemos hablado, principalmente he plantado Malbec, pero pueden haber otras cosas pequeñas. Así que es un blend principalmente de Malbec con uvas no solo nuestras, sino de muchos productores de la zona. Es un vino bastante fresco, es nuestra versión de lo que sería un vino de mesa, ¿sí?
As they prepare our dinner, we came to check out the garden that all the food comes from. It's literally farm to table, and the garden is right in the backyard of the restaurant. So it's really nice to meet our veggies before we eat them. This is what makes the Cinco Suelos restaurant really stand out, and that's, I think, part of what gave them their Michelin recommendation.
Exactly, yeah.
In the spring and the fall season, they offer dining experiences out here in the garden. Usually not in the winter because it tends to be quite cold. It is May, and while it does get quite chilly, feeling pretty comfortable right now without my jacket.
What a gorgeous setup. How many wine glasses is this setup for? And for who? Not for us, unfortunately. This is a private room for a special wine tasting for some very lucky guests. We're in the main room of the restaurant, prepared to taste 5 more glasses of wine over a 5-course meal. Oh, but first we better finish the wine we received at the door. Turns out, the first drink they serve at the table isn't wine, but another spirit distilled from grapes.
Time for the appetizer. So, along with our appetizer, they brought in aperitif. So a cocktail to get our
Palates going.
palates going and our digestive systems going. We got a vermouth bianco. Have you noticed how much Argentinians love vermouth?
Yeah, it's very interesting. They love vermouth and they love fernet, which are both very like herbal drinks, very essential drinks.
So good.
Which is very interesting, right? It smells delicious. This one has a specific tone of rosemary and it's very, very smooth. It's a little bit on the sweet side, which is not too sweet, but
And not too bitter either.
before Argentina, I don't know if I had tasted as much vermouth as we've had here.
No, I've never had this one.
But it's been nice to give some those flavors to my palate because I like vermouth.
The appetizer includes smoked trout, blue cheese, buñuelo de acelga, which is Swiss chard, duck pate, and a little guacamole on a slice of cucumber. Looks amazing.
Do you know if we use forks for this? Oh man. Take the kid out of the hood, but never the hood out of the kid. Salud.
And we don't have a lot of experience in fine dining necessarily, but you can tell how intentional every bite, every flavor, and in the order that they recommend that you have everything is intentional as part of your experience to keep everything nicely balanced. I'm starting to see what the hype is all about with these Michelin recommendations.
You know, my middle name is Michelin, and I give this one 3 stars.
Your middle name is Michelin and you give it 3 stars? Yeah. This guy. So we had our appetizer, now we have the gift from the chef, which is a garlic soup, a small fried tortita, which is like fried bread with some olive tapenade, and of course everything from all around us, from the garden, from the olive trees. It's so cool to be in the same space where your food is coming from.
Best garlic soup of our lives.
Uf, no mames. El ajo está súper riquísimo.
Apparently, Mendoza is known for producing high-quality, flavorful garlic.
Today during the tour we learned something new. We learned about vinos naranjos. So we know there's red wine from red grapes, white wine from white grapes, or green grapes for that matter. And a red wine is fermented with its skin. A white wine is a green grape fermented without skin, but a naranjo, on the other hand, is a white grape fermented with its skin, giving it that green-orange color. So that's why this is called a vino naranjo versus just a red or a white, not even a rosé. And I find that very fascinating. It's got a very neutral taste compared to what we're pairing it with. Our appetizers, that garlic soup, which is like a very delicious garlic where you can focus on the garlic, and then the vino naranjo just complements that amazingly. Oh, this is the fun part of pairing wine with your food. Just balances each other out really well. You guys, I'm buzzed already. After the vermouth and this half glass of wine, and it's noon and we haven't had breakfast, I'm already buzzed, but I'm very happy. This next wine is one of the characteristic wines of both the vineyard and the restaurant, Las Compuertas Cinco Suelos, and that's because this is a Malbec wine, pure Malbec grape that comes from 5 different terrains. When they tested the terrain in the vineyard, they realized that the terrain has 5 different types of dirt. So when you plant the same grape, the Malbec grape, and all of these, put them together into one bottle, you get this one. You get the Las Compuertas Cinco Suelos. Ooh, this is a smooth one. This is what they refer to as the table wine. It's a really light-bodied one that you can enjoy with or without food.
I might not be the best at describing what wines taste like, but one thing I can tell you is that wine flies when you're having fun.
And finally, the main courses arrived. Kevin had the saltimbocca, the veal cooked in a buttery white wine sauce, and I had the filet mignon wrapped in a puff pastry. It was delicious, but I give it 4 stars because I had some trouble cutting through it. It was very good though. Did I mention the incredible view we had this entire time? Fine wine, incredible food, and a spectacular view of the vineyard and Andes Mountains. What a treat. An experience like this should be on every wine and food lover's bucket list. Durigutti most certainly did not disappoint. They saved one of the best for last and topped us off with one of their signature wines, and we went out to the garden to enjoy it and comfortably digest our food until there was room for dessert. Moments like these, I pause and think of how incredibly lucky we are. If you've been following along the adventures, we're really grateful for you too. Make sure to leave us a comment so we know who's watching. Truth be told, we were happily buzzed and still too full for dessert. So, in Eat Baila Travel fashion, we decided to dance off some of the food. Just one more glass of wine before we go. We had the honor of trying another one of their signature lines with dessert, of course.
Wow, okay, and for dessert we have a dulce de leche crepe and membrillo en crema. Membrillo is the fruits that they have right here in the garden. Look at that. We're told that when an Argentinian says something sweet, they're usually referring to one of these 2 things, dulce de leche and membrillo. So that's what we had to do for dessert.
Here at Cinco Suelos, the membrillo is more than just a fruit. They marinate it in their wines and it creates such a dessert concoction. Amazing. But I have to say that the dulce de leche crepe is my favorite. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Up next, join us for a boozy bike tour as we do a self-guided bike tour of local wine bodegas in Mendoza. Nos vemos en la próxima. Ciao.